Welcome to Inside the Investigation, Hawthorn Center. I'm Karen Drew. The Hawthorn Center is the only state-run child psychiatric hospital here in Michigan. Lately, it's been in the news, and not really for good reason. There was concerns about patients beating up other patients. The environment that these young people are living in has been brought into question. And then there was that unannounced active shooter drill that frightened patients and staff.
Police and fire emergency.
Hi, I'm at 18471 Haggerty Road. There was just a report of an active intruder at Hawthorn Center.
What's going on?
Active shooter with AR-15.
Active shooter?
Active.
Yes.
It was December 21st, about 10:30 in the morning.
I just got a text from a friend of mine that there's an active intruder on her job site.
Is this for Hawthorn Center?
Yes.
Frantic calls came into Northville Township Police dispatch.
Do you know if anyone's seen anyone?
Yeah, there's people wearing winter coats and have AR-15s with multiple rounds.
Okay.
2 men.
The 911 callers were terrified.
Yeah, people need to come right now.
Okay. We got another call from someone, so we have all officers on the way. So was this an announcement to the building, or did you?
We were able to obtain body cam video of officers rushing to the scene. Not only Northville Township officers, but the city of Northville, as well as Livonia and Michigan State Police.
I'm seeing like 50 cars out here. Everybody's out here.
Outside the hospital, dozens of police units quickly grabbing their tactical weapons and their heavy gear.
Shield.
Quickly organizing, moving into place to stop the intruders.
It's a very high-risk situation we're in. Emotions are elevated.
Northville Township Police Chief Scott Hilden.
Do you remember what ran through your head? Thinking, oh my goodness, we've got a gunman on the loose?
My first thought was, here we go. Let's get there as fast as we can.
Can you tell me what's going on?
Keep the line open.
Okay, please.
Where are you in the building?
I don't know, please.
Clearly, everyone's dispatched. And then what happens?
Rather quickly upon our arrival, the first responding officers indicated that they had made contact with 2 individuals out front of the building. These people were stating that they were employees, and it was a drill.
Put your hands on top of your head, facing me! Do it now!
We keep covering him, okay? We advise the people here saying this is a drill.
Is this a drill?
Confirmed drill.
That's right, the Hawthorn Center conducted a drill, but didn't inform police or some of the center's employees and patients. Hawthorn Center employees told us they were traumatized, in tears, as they desperately tried to hide.
Because the people inside are going to believe that it's a real incident, and you never know how they're going to respond when they're trying to protect their lives. So this type of training is critical, but you have to do it the right way. They did the unfortunate mistake of doing it unannounced, and we don't want that to ever be the case.
You don't have anything?
No, we didn't have no guns, no.
These are the fake intruders, 2 Hawthorn employees who were role-playing for the drill. And these 2 Hawthorn employees were outside of the building when police arrived.
You have to identify that this is a drill because you literally have every jurisdiction. If you look around, there's probably 50 cop cars out here.
100%. When I heard the sirens, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, well, we're coming hot, man.
Hey, did you guys know it was a drill? Oh, no.
Meantime, inside the psychiatric hospital, the children and the staff are terrified. They have no idea this is all a drill.
Ma'am, you still there? Hello? Hi. Just want to make sure you're still there. Yep, I'm back. Okay, so I just got confirmation from the officers on scene that it is a drill. You can leave your offices, okay? Ma'am, can you hear me? Okay. You did fine, okay? I'm sorry that this happened.
The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services issued a statement reading in part, policies and procedures are in place to conduct these drills in a safe manner and require protocols be followed and proper notifications be made to local emergency responders. MDHHS is investigating the events involved in the recent drill conducted at Hawthorn Center to ensure these policies are followed for any future drills. After that drill, the Hawthorn Center was closed, and those young patients who were housed there were moved to the Walter Reuther Hospital. That's a facility for adult psychiatric patients. Started talking to insiders. They were telling me the building, the staff, they weren't ready for this move of young patients into Walter Reuther. And unfortunately, those young patients paid the price.
You're taking a risk speaking out like this.
I don't care, because someone has to stand up for what's right. They have lost their mission plan, which is to help these kids and adults increase their management of stress level and depression. They've forgotten that it's a healthcare facility, not a correctional facility.
That's Crystal Bonner, a teacher inside the Walter Reuther Psych Hospital in Westland.
How do you feel these kids are being treated?
Horrible.
She says the juvenile patients there have not been allowed outside for months.
The reason is because they don't want the adult patients looking at the younger patients outside in the courtyard area.
So they can't change things around. So right now these kids are stuck inside
The
without
kids
any
have
fresh
been
air.
stuck inside the hospital since June 27th.
It was back in June the kids loaded up inside these ambulances and were transferred to Walter Reuther after this.
Where are you in the building?
I don't know, please. Put your hands on top of your head, facing me!
An active shooter drill was conducted, approved by state officials at the Hawthorn Center in Northville. The staff and the children thought it was real. Terrified and scared to death, they were soon moved to a different hospital.
Do the parents of these kids know what's going on?
I have no idea.
But you thought it was important to speak up.
I did, because it just was so disturbing to me.
Bonner also shared these pics with me. The windows of the classrooms for the kids are now being covered up.
Now there's a view of some dark brown paper bag like plastic or film on my window where they can only see like about 12 inches on the very top.
What are you seeing as a result of this?
I can't speak specifically to the kids because that would be a HIPAA violation, but I can say from many, many different studies that it can cause an increase in aggression, anxiety, stress, and depression.
I reached out to state officials asking about covering up the windows and not letting the kids outside for months. The state blamed supply chain issues for fencing, causing delays in completing a new courtyard. That was the reason the kids could not go outside. But take a look at this. Hours after I sent the email, the state responded. Ironically, the youth patients were able to get outside as of today. Now, since that story aired, the window film is gone. The kids are allowed to go outside. But then I started hearing from some of the workers at Hawthorn Center, them telling me their concerns, of course, about the kids, but also their concerns about the staff who work there. Soon after, a $13 million lawsuit was filed, a class action. I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with one of the mental health workers who worked there, who actually worked the day of that unannounced active shooter drill.
So that particular day, my direct supervisor, her office was directly across the hall from mine. I was in the office, I was, getting together some forms or what have you, and I ended up hearing over the announcement that there were 2 intruders in the building. And I was just like, what? And so they said it over, and the person overhead, they sounded really afraid. They sounded serious. And so my first thought was, oh my God, like, how am I gonna get out of here? So I immediately kind of, closed my office door. First I called the supervisor, she didn't answer. And then I texted her. And I had said, I just really got out of training. I was not trained for this. Is this a drill? And she was just like, I don't know. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And I, pushed my desk up, or it was like a table in my office. I pushed the table up against the door and I just kind of sat there. But I was very much afraid because I'm just like, to be honest, I went into freeze mode because I just wasn't sure what to do.
Put your hands on top of your head!
Meantime, other employees started calling 911.
Can you tell me what's going on?
Keep the line open.
4 police agencies showed up at the facility with guns drawn. They, too, didn't know this was a drill.
Is this a drill?
I'm thinking, how am I going to get out of here? And I was just thinking I'm going to take this office chair and bust this window and jump out the window. So with them saying it, they said it again, and it was like, it's one white, one black. They got AR-15s. And I was just like, this is real.
Little did this mother of 4 know. This was not real. This was a drill. State supervisors knew, but the staff and the young patients inside the Children's Psych Hospital had no idea. They say they were traumatized and have been since.
It was terrifying, actually. And being in a space of like pushing and stuff up against the door and just laying there not being able to do nothing. It was just so many negative thoughts running through my head that I just panicked like really, really bad, and I started crying.
Hey, did you guys know it was a drill?
Oh, no.
Finally, the mental health worker was told it's a drill, but she wasn't so sure.
I'm scared to even go out the door. They talking about it's over. I didn't even open my door. So the way that my office was set up, it was called South Wing. I was able to look out the window because at this point I started looking out the window and I saw like all of these police cars. I'm like, this is not real. Like all of these police cars out here. I actually saw one of the policemen take off his suit jacket, put on a bulletproof vest. I saw them with my own eyes have the maintenance guy in handcuffs on the ground, and he's a black guy. And so for me, it was just like, but y'all keep telling us this a drill and you want me to believe it. But the worst case scenario, this man could have lost his life, like, and nobody considered that. And it was just horrific.
So at the end of the day, how do you feel the state handled this?
Terrible. I feel like they still have not taken full accountability as far as us working in a setting where children are already living and reliving trauma. It definitely was not completely thought out to a point of thinking about the mental space and how it would impact the people that we service, because we're already working in a place with this sensitivity, and you go and do something like this and not expect it to bother people a little bit.
What do you think in terms of the settlement? What does the settlement mean to you?
So for me, the settlement means fairness as far as the children are concerned. Because when it comes to them, outside of me being terrified out of my wits, a lot of them, we didn't have a choice because we're adults. But at some point, you know, I feel like we would have had a much better chance of getting out than they would. And so with them, it was like a sort of imprisonment to me. And so I feel like with the settlement, it is helpful for them, with them having some type of compensation and a little bit of an apology, but not a full accountability.
Since then, Hawthorn was shut down. Jones left the job and still worries about working in an office setting.
I didn't like being in there with the office door closed. I was very afraid of just stepping in there because my trust for everybody in the building just waned. Like, it completely left. I ended up paying for mental health services out of pocket, and I took a leave. Like, I took a few weeks here and there because I just I didn't feel comfortable in there. I had this very deep mistrust for every person in leadership there. I still work for the state, but I work for the state in a different capacity. And with me leaving from going from, you know, that residential to one where I work more in the field, I feel more comfortable because I feel like I have an escape. I don't completely feel comfortable with working for the state if I have to commit to staying within an office space. because I kind of have this mistrust for the state and how they tend to rectify issues when it comes to like how it impacts everybody as a whole, workers and the people that we service. My trust is not there.
110 employees and 50 patients will be splitting that $13 million judgment. Now, you would think after that lawsuit, things would calm down, but that's not the case. More after the break. Inside the investigation into the Hawthorn Center, our reporting continues. Now, we did talk about that unannounced active shooter drill. We focused on the environment that these young patients were living in. And then another disturbing find, an attack on a child patient. One child versus another child, and it's all caught on camera.
The video is hard to watch. A 10-year-old boy chased down and then stomped on and kicked in the head by a 15-year-old girl. This happened while both children were residential patients under the care of the State Department of Health and Human Services at the Walter Reuther State Psychiatric Hospital. The state's juvenile psych patients were moved to Walter Reuther Hospital in Westland, while a new state facility for children is being built. Inside, older and younger kids are separated by locked security doors. But on October 18th, you can see employees opened a door which allowed the older girl into the younger children's area, where she attacked a boy by the name of Princeton.
For several seconds, she stomps and beats Princeton. She knocks his tooth up into his gum. Princeton has some brain damage behind this based on a brain imaging study.
On behalf of Princeton's family, attorney Arnold Reed filed a lawsuit against the state in February. And last week, another lawsuit was filed, this time on behalf of the girl's family. The legal complaint says Hawthorn employees knew about the teen girl's history of aggression, yet they instigated, encouraged, and allowed her to engage in a physical altercation with the younger boy. And the complaint says the October incident is not the first time the girl was used as security for staff, abusing their position of power and exploiting the girl's emotional instability and mental health condition. Over the phone, the girl's mom told Local 4 that state employees manipulated her daughter into the role of enforcer with the other children. The girl's mother described the hospital as a miniature fight club where her daughter was used as a pawn. And after 2 years there, the mom said her daughter came out of the Hawthorn Center even more traumatized than she was when she was admitted to the hospital.
In an email, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, which runs the hospital, said as a result of an investigation into the incident, one employee was dismissed, one resigned, and another was suspended and has returned to work. Now, in all, 2 lawsuits were filed. The mothers of both of those 2 individual patients, both moms saying this environment was toxic, and they want the state held accountable.
Last October, a 10-year-old boy is chased down and then stomped on and kicked in the head by a 15-year-old girl. The girl's mother, Molly Bonter, says the Hawthorn Center changed her daughter.
She was at Hawthorn for nearly 2 years, and she's a very different kid today than she was when she went in. Prior to Hawthorn, she wasn't typically aggressive towards other people.
The new lawsuit filed today in Wayne County blames hospital executives and employees for creating, fostering, and/or permitting a toxic culture and environment.
But they called her a monster and made fun and ridiculed Aaliyah after she carried out their orders.
Hawthorn Center children are currently housed at the state's Walter Reuther Psychiatric Hospital in Westland. The lawsuit says that after the 2 kids argued with each other for nearly an hour through a locked door, employees opened the door for the girl, knowing a confrontation was likely to occur, with one of them saying he's going to get what he gets. You can see in hospital surveillance video. Employees opened that door and then gave the older girl access to the younger kids' area. The boy suffered head injuries in the attack, and the lawsuit says the girl has suffered too.
She tried to harm herself because she felt so bad over this incident. She tried to take her life.
To hear how she feels right now, what she's going through, breaks my heart as well.
I would just like my daughter back.
Both moms say the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services did a horrible job in monitoring the Hawthorn Center. They want accountability. Coming up, a whistleblower comes forward. And what happens next, she says, is downright sad and disappointing. Welcome back to Inside the Investigation Hawthorn Center. Crystal Bonner worked for the Hawthorn Center for some 8 years. She planned on working there longer, but recently quit. The reason? She said she came forward. She exposed wrongdoings, but then after she did that, the way she was treated by the state, she said, was a hostile work environment. She couldn't take it any longer. Here is her cost of courage story.
Those kids were being abused by not being able to go outside for 3 months.
When we did the interview, I asked you, are you sure you want to do this? Because I'm afraid for you.
Right.
The state might come after you.
Right.
Did you think they would?
I didn't care. 2 weeks after the interview aired, I got my first investigatory conference. I was being investigated, and one of the charges was speaking to the media.
This was the interview Crystal Bonner is talking about.
They've forgotten that it's a healthcare facility, not a correctional facility.
It was September of 2023 when the special education teacher came forward with her concerns and how the children were being treated at the Hawthorn Center, which was recently relocated inside the Walter Reuther Hospital. It was there, windows of classrooms were blocking sunlight and kids were not allowed outside.
Now there's a view of some dark brown paper bag like plastic or film on my window where they can only see like about 12 inches on the very top.
What are you seeing as a result of this?
It can cause an increase in aggression, anxiety, stress, and depression.
Now, I reached out to the state that day. Ironically, hours later, the state came back to me and said, oh, guess what? The kids can go outside now. And soon after, those window coverings came down. Good news for those children. But that was just the beginning for Crystal Bonner.
Soon, the violations, concerns, and meetings on her performance were all documented.
The kids used tablets.
Yes.
It was okay.
Yes.
You did the interview with us exposing the state.
Right.
And then you got in trouble for letting the kids use tablets.
Right. I even got an email from the principal saying you could face disciplinary action if you don't take your hat and sunglasses off as soon as you enter the building.
But I want you to take a look at this. This is Bonner's performance evaluation from the year before. It listed her as high performing with positive remarks on category after category.
I mean, they're saying great things about you here.
Yeah.
Foster a culture that values diversity and equity and inclusion. Oh, this goes on and on. You expose the kids need to get outside.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, you get this. The very next year, sheet after sheet of how you're failing.
It was just thing after thing after thing, you know? I resigned or retired because I didn't see the trend changing. I felt that the attacks will still keep coming.
What should people know about Hawthorn?
My thoughts on that is that it's ran like a prison still.
Not only is Crystal Bonner concerned about these young patients, one local lawmaker is calling for accountability before it's too late.
Statutorily, they have 5 days to investigate complaints, and due to staffing, due to a lot of different things, it's not happening. Sometimes there's not camera footage on, certain incidents.
And so there should be cameras. You complain, you ask for the video, and it just doesn't exist.
Yes, so they ask for footage from certain days, and it's just not there.
Cameras were working on this day inside the Walter Reuther facility, where the children from Hawthorn Center are temporarily being housed. One child chased after another and beat them as staff appeared to look on before stopping the attack. A lawsuit has been filed in this case.
I mean, we have a responsibility with these kids in our care, and adults in our care too at Walter Reuther, and I think they're trying to kind of protect themselves more so than trying to get the system better.
What should people know about Hawthorn?
That is ran like a prison still.
When this whistleblower recently exposed her concerns of treatment at the Hawthorn Center, she says she was slapped with misconduct reports.
whistleblowers internally that have contacted our office to tell their story of what's really going on in there. And it's given us a better picture. But I think the concern is every time we try to get them to maybe, testify in a committee or this or that, it gets shut down because I think fear of, retaliatory measures.
Senator Weber is waiting on an audit of the department, which should be done by early next year. But he's worried. What will happen to the patients as we wait?
Of course, we'll let you know what happens when that audit is released. We will stay on top of this issue. If you happen to know more about what's going on inside the Hawthorn Center and you want to share, my email is at the bottom of your screen. We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching Inside the Investigation, Hawthorn Center.